My name is Kit.
Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Severance. One last time until season 3. This is our mailbag. We asked you, the audience, to send in your questions, comments, and concerns regarding Severance, the season 2 finale, the season as a whole, where the show's going, your season 3 predictions, all that stuff. So we're going to read those, as many as we can. We got a flood of emails as expected, and we'll get through a few. So if we don't read your email, it's not because it wasn't a good email or it didn't raise good questions. It was either we ran out of time in general, or, many other people addressed the same things. And, we just wanted to make a good episode for you guys. Yeah. So please continue to email us.
If we do read your email, I just want to give you a heads up. I did edit some of these because a lot of people bring up the same questions, and trying to get as many people on the pod as possible, I kind of eliminated this person asks that question later on. We'll skip that. If you sent in multiple questions, just throwing that out there.
Curated.
Yeah, these questions are curated as fuck.
So many kind words about discovering the pod and how long you've been listening and what it means to you. And Steve may have omitted some of that for time's sake. I'm not even sure yet. But
my ego would not allow me.
Good. So thank you guys. That's what this episode is going to be. Yeah. Just we're not saying goodbye, but we are saying a temporary farewell to Severance. And we thank all of you for following us on this journey. We know this is one of those shows that got us a lot of new listeners. So we hope you go back and check out our Last of Us coverage and and maybe on the Patreon, if you can, the Game of Thrones coverage and the Midnight Mass coverage and all the things so many people have enjoyed, especially way back in the day. You think we're unprofessional now. Holy shit.
Holy shit. Look at what we did in the 2017.
Our Harry Potter coverage, even not too long ago. Like it's
our Penguin coverage. My God.
The Penguin.
There's one thing I want to say to you guys at the top of this episode, and it's that, I
love you.
I want to address something to the audience. I do love you both. I love you, the listener. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, you realize that there are 3 voices on the podcast, 3 faces in the video. There are actually 4 tempers in Severance. So it feels wrong that there's only 3 of us. So I think it's time we introduce another member to the podcast. That is Woe herself. Woe, come on out.
Whoa. I feel like Keanu Reeves right now.
Here she comes. We have the music playing on our end, so it's hard to hear her. But she's slowly... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Do you see this?
She's getting down.
Come over on the camera so the people can see you.
Oh, not the abs shirt. I just realized.
Go in front of the camera. No one can see you. Oh, I'll lead you.
Ready for me? Am I on the camera?
You are now.
Show them those abs.
Show them the abs. Oh, yeah. Last week, we said that Eric had ordered a goat costume and felt wrong to not have it featured. Erica, I am going to have to ask you to not open up your vest, because I think we might have to because your pecs on the shirt look like just boobs. And I think I'm going to have to censor that for YouTube.
Does this make you uncomfortable?
Unfortunately, no.
Feeling things.
That's crazy, man.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
You guys had me convinced that she wasn't going to be on this episode. That was clever.
We got you. Yeah, we tricked you.
Not bad.
Tried to trick you.
We wanted to surprise you guys one last time.
And
of course, we have to have Erica on here. She's the resident Severance expert.
We didn't want to disappoint you to not get to see the goat head.
Had to be there for that. So Steve was just lying to us.
Lying.
I'm a little liar.
You're a stinker.
I'll never tell.
I've been stinkered twice today. Well, guys,
Ew.
you are, if you're surprised, we are as well. We did not know this was happening. So wonderful to have you here. Whoa.
I'm actually Frolic.
Oh.
I'm a Frolic-aholic.
Frolic-aholic. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You were woe last week.
I was woe last week.
Okay, gotcha.
The Frolicaholic. I did put a shot of espresso in my coffee. I'm going to be frolicking soon.
Oh, wait. Actually, you know what? I don't think I'm frolic either. I think the goat is Malice. After all that.
The goat is Malice,
Just edit that in. We said it right the whole time.
The goat is Malice.
I do think it's strange that the goat is Malice, but...
Yeah, you'd think frolic because goats like to frolic.
Yeah.
Nope, it's the jester.
Yeah.
So, Steve, you're conducting this train. How do you want to start this mailbag?
So we have a bunch of emails that y'all have sent to us, either to our email address, to our Discord, on our... There are actually a lot of people who submitted questions on our website, which rarely has ever happened. And we had like 5 people do it, which was very surprising. So thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to take turns reading emails that you guys sent in, answering, and then we're just going to have fun.
I'll start us off. How about that?
Okay, how about that?
This first email comes in from LS or L's.
I like L's.
Hi, friends. First, a huge thank you for covering Severance. This quickly became a favorite show for me, and having to get to hear your recap and laugh along with your jokes and impressions truly made it more special. Also, I was so happy to hear from Adam Scott. Adam Scott finally got the waffle party in the finale. So deserved. His performance was incredible this season. Did it really take that long for us to give it to Adam Scott? Anybody?
Maybe
in the second season, I think.
Okay.
He definitely got it in the first season.
Here's a couple of quick cues. Okay, I like what you did there. Is there a scene that stands out for you from all of season 2? Do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Sure, yeah. Well, we can go one at a time. So
I know that was one of your preparatory questions. That's why I kind of stumbled. I don't know if Steve has a big to-do for that, but
no. I was just giving you the heads up so you guys can prepare.
I am, yes. It is the obvious low-hanging fruit of Adam Scott severing in the elevator and pulling the trigger.
1,000,000%.
And killing Drummond. I mean, I wasn't exaggerating. That is one of my all-time favorite moments from any show ever. We talked a lot about it. We don't have to get back into it about just how brilliant it is from a literal Chekhov's gun perspective and how the writing's set up with the blood and the body blocking the elevator, but also just from a physical comedy standpoint. And I was so shocked. They denied me the Drummond kill twice and I had given up on it. Not that kind of show. Whatever, move on. Yes! So awesome.
100% it has to be that. It's my favorite thing that's happened on TV in a decade. It's so fucking good.
Erica, what about you? Is there one that stands out for you?
I knew you guys were going to probably say that, and I would say that too. That was amazing. But another standout scene for me was when we find out why Harmony Cobell is back in her hometown and what she's looking for. Because, I think a lot of people were so frustrated with that episode. And they're like, why are we doing this?
Moment. I love it.
Yeah, why are we doing this? And it ended up being incredibly important because she shows that she was the one who invented this. Mm-hmm. And so it's it's super important to the show and where it's going because, what are we going to do with that information? And does that mean that they're going to, come after her? Lots of openings for season 3 to tell us more about that. But it's, it feels like maybe a little leverage, something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Maybe it'll be the way that she eventually tries to finish reintegration with Mark if he ever does it.
Right.
Or, it has a lot of implications that they could explore. So,
yeah.
I think we would be remiss to not point out at least one other scene before the finale. Like if the finale never happened, I think the one scene that would stick out to a lot of people, even though I wasn't the biggest episode 4 Woe's Hollow fan, but that "Do It, Seth" scene is
so funny.
Fucking incredible and really great. I think we would be remiss in not at least mentioning that as one of the standout scenes in season 2 for sure.
And the dinner sequence with Irv and Bert and Fields.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to that.
Yeah.
And
so
John Noble.
So many good moments.
Honorable mentions all day.
If I had to pick one, I couldn't lie and say anything other than that moment with Drummond.
Same.
And then LS goes on to ask, any thoughts on how Irv might come back and reunite with the group in season 3? I am still in awe of the goodbye scene with Bert. How his outie kept saying, I'm ready. While in season 1, his innie said, I'm not ready when Bert made a move. Anyways, counting the days until season 3. Yeah, I was actually surprised in my short form recap that I put on like TikTok and Instagram, how many people just really think that Irv's gone. No, of course he's not. But how he might come back, I think there's That's interesting. We don't know where that train is going. We don't know anything really about the outside world beyond Kier, other than a little foray into Salt's Neck, which is also really Lumen controlled.
Right.
And Gans.
So I don't know where he is or what's going on.
He was working with someone though,
and
we don't
Huang's
know
in,
who he was working with.
Where's Huang at? Like Siberia or something? Like
Somewhere way up north.
Was it Slavgard or
The
something?
Dieter Egan, Svalbard.
Yeah,
Svalbard.
It's a dark place, I heard.
Yeah. A lot of people reached out and asked a similar question. It's like, how are they going to bring Irving back into season 3? Another listener Rachel wrote in and said something that she felt that he could team up with Gemma now that Gemma's outside, and he obviously has been researching Lumen in some way, shape, or form, and maybe he joins the resistance of Lumen on the outside world, maybe?
I think he had a list of car accidents and stuff, incidents and accidents from Lumen employees. That was mentioned when we see him digging through all of his stuff during the OTC. But it mentioned some people who had accidents and were paid off by the company.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible that he would know about her, of her.
Oh, you mean Gemma?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you said that he has somebody that he was working with already?
Right. Remember all those phone calls? We don't know who was on the other end of the line.
My Audi got the got the message and stuff.
Yeah. So we have no idea who's working with. They haven't reeled that either. So, that's a possibility for season 3.
Yeah. And is there any sort of like way you'd like to see Irving come back into the story?
Well, however he does come back, I feel like it has to include Bert, right? And so maybe it's like Bert gets cold feet or something, or Fields goes and finds Bert, or goes and finds Irv on Bert's behalf or something. But I can't imagine that they would take the dynamic that they have between those two characters and not explore it further, given the opportunity. And so, like, I know it'd be kind of silly for it to be like, actually, you know what? Never mind. I want you to come back. But I feel like there's going to be something that draws him home. Yeah. And then he's going to have to be working with Bert in some capacity when he does.
And Bert's an interesting character because for a long time, he was some sort of, not hitman, but part of the seedier elements of Lumen disappearing people.
I hear you paint walls.
And so I think in season 3, there's going to be a lot more diving into that aspect of the company, and Bert is kind of at the center point of that. And I think that's a great way to sort of bring Irving back as well. I think that's a good pull.
Excellent stuff. Andy, do you want to read the next one?
Absolutely. This next one is from Redacted. It says, "Hi there, Fiend here. First-time writer, long-time listener. Where would you rank the season 2 finale in your personal all-time finale rankings, season or series? Also, I'd love a recap of the dangling plot threads still out there, like will Rebecca get severed to get to read Rickon's any version of the UUR? Have to go rewind some Betamax. See ya."
Beautiful. Thank you, Redacted. If you didn't give us explicit permission to say your name, you were redacted. Sorry.
Or even if you did. If I'm reading the email.
That's true.
Redacted.
All time, how do we rank this among our all-time series or season finales?
So I've been thinking about this question since the email came in, and I was a little stupid because I was only thinking about series finales when the question was asked, which is a way more narrow question than season or series. And I will say that I'm ashamed to admit, as somebody who watches TV and movies as a job, there's a lot of like the legendary good series finales I have not, or from shows I did not watch, like 6 Feet Under, The Leftovers, Fringe.
Fringe. John Noble.
Lots of good stuff that people are really satisfied by that I never even watched. All my favorite shows get canceled. Like Sense8, we did get like a movie to wrap things up that I loved. The Magicians. I did love the Parks and Rec finale. I think that's outstanding. The Breaking Bad finale, I think, is outstanding. Or my favorite shows just end poorly. Well, we won't mention it, but we're covering it currently. But it does have a really good season 4 finale. I think that's one of the best finales of all time as far as the season goes. But a lot of my other favorite shows are limited series, which I don't think counts. It's easier to stick the landing on one season.
Totally.
So most of my favorite shows are limited series and stuff, and that doesn't really count. So I don't have a whole lot to offer in this regard.
Goodbye, Penguin.
Yeah.
On my list.
Steve?
I kind of thought about a couple different things. I mean, Penguin, but obviously you're right. Limited series is kind of a cheat. But I mean, even stuff as like Stranger Things season 4, I think, was a really good season. I think it ended in a really cool, exciting
I agree.
place.
I almost brought that up. Yeah.
So when I think about like best, I also thought we were talking about series finales, not season finales. But when I think about my favorite season finales of all time, my head immediately went to, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite shows. It is the funniest show ever made. It's so fucking good. But there is a finale from, it's like episode or season 14, maybe 15, something like that. It's pretty late, fairly recent thing where Mac, one of the main characters, is coming out as gay. And the season finale ends with this really long interpretive dance sequence. It's like Mac doing like ballet stuff, like for his father and for Frank and stuff. And like this show being what it is, you think it's going to be just like comical. He's going to be slipping and sliding and breaking a finger or something, pulling an Andy out there. But he doesn't. It is this long, beautiful, heart-wrenching. I'm tearing up thinking about it right now. It's so beautiful, like him just expressing who he is on the inside and how he feels. And it ends with Frank just saying, "Oh, I get it," or something like that. And that to me was one of the most unexpected, powerful finales of anything ever. As far as how I would rank the finale for season 2 of Severance, I've sat on it more. I know that during our coverage of the finale, I said I think that the finale of the season 1 was better. And I don't know if I feel that way anymore. I do think that it was different and it was more like shocking and, oh no, what? How are you going to end it there? And we get that also in season 2. But I think that as an episode and being a satisfying conclusion of the arc of season 2, I think that I would rank season 2's finale higher. I think that it is definitely one of the best finales I've seen in a very long time, but it's hard to rank it for like best, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so recent. It's
recency bias is
people are going to
really,
even if that's real or not, people are going to claim that, you know, but I really do think this is a masterpiece. It was a 10 out of 10 finale for me. And I do think it's, I may have missed a lot of the legendary shows, but I've seen a lot. And I personally do believe it's up there. Erica, what about you?
You know, you can only think of like one show with a season finale that was more satisfying than this. And I would say it's Hot D season 2, because we just got that really epic battle that we were all waiting for. And it just really culminated the show for me. Sorry. I do love Hot D, but that was a subtle burn. Actually, I didn't mind that. But no, I am one of those people. I haven't seen a lot of things because I got stuck in a rut of watching the same things over for comfort. But you know, meeting Steve and everything.
That's how we bonded.
overboard.
He was in one and I came. I actually, he's opened my eyes to the world of television and film, and it's been really great. But this show quickly became like my favorite show, I think. And I can't say for sure because we only have 2 seasons. So I can't say yet that it's my favorite show of all time. But it is definitely in the competition, and we'll have to see how it ends. But this finale was a 10 out of 10 for me too. It had everything. It had love. It had heartbreak. It had action. It had comedy. It had, it had amazing dance numbers. It just had so much. It was full of so much. And I loved where the story went. And as painful as that last few seconds were, it felt exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I want to hop in here, and you guys probably all know this now because you've been reading all the interviews with the cast that have been flooding in since the season ended. But
yeah,
Andy, you mentioning that season 1's finale made me recall, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Ben Stiller said that he actually fully intended for season 2 to end when Helly shows up to the hallway. Was the intended ending to that for most of their filming. So it would have been another major cliffhanger, just like season 1.
When Helly shows up to the hallway, like, and
between
Gemma's on one side. Okay,
yeah,
I got it.
And before he makes his choice, it was going to end there, like with just him looking at the 2 of them. which I think ultimately that was a great choice to not do that again.
Yeah, for sure.
People would have rioted.
Yes.
But I also can totally see the inclination
Right.
to do another cliffhanger like that. But I'm so glad that they didn't do that.
And just switching to like the 35 millimeter style camera
Yeah.
of them running through the hallways, evoking The Graduate and Logan's Run and a couple other things.
So
60
many
cinema.
movies. I mean, it's just the move
really
back
cool.
then.
Yeah.
I did want to say the second part of their question was like, can you get a recap of the dangling plot threads? No, there's too many.
Most of the plot threads are dangling.
That's right.
I really do hope that Rebecca gets to read
I do too.
any version of the
I really
UUR.
hope that for her.
Yeah, she needs that. in her
And
life.
she already has a scar from her bird. So it won't even matter if she gets the chip implanted.
Yeah.
She already has a spot, right?
Blame it on the
Missing
bird.
hair.
I'm wondering why nobody has said that that's actually because she has a chip.
Maybe she does.
That's her cover.
Ooh.
I'm being dead ass.
She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to out herself in front of her
Yeah.
friends who are super like, ooh, severed. Ugh. So she's
Well,
like, it's my bird.
She could tell Denise. Denise was supportive of Mark. She's the other blonde lady.
Yeah. There's Balf, Patton.
Balf.
Balf gets the neti pot. He's in the painting. So
Yeah.
praise Balf.
Denise is there.
Is Denise in there?
Yeah.
I know Rebecca's in there. Patton's in there. And yeah. It's so wild that they're in there. But I like that theory. Kit
No,
Lazer.
I'm literally kind of mind blown right now.
I can see you like looking at me, but you're not
At
really.
first, I
you're
was
looking
like,
through me as you work it in your
Yes.
brain.
I'm like making fun of the theorists when I said it. And then once it landed, I was like, oh no.
Hold up.
Is that actually what that is?
Spot in the back of my head. It's like from my bird.
It looks like a
Interesting.
severed chip. Nope, it's a bird.
Looks like a really big hole from your bird.
Oh no.
It's a big ass bird.
But let's hear from Mary.
All right. Mary writes in number 1. Once Mark finds out that all the files are different tests for Gemma, my first thought was, shit, that means there are 25 Gemmas. Mark can't even get one his own, to play along. How would he get 25 of them to cooperate? My heart sank. I don't think he needs to get all 25 of them to cooperate. I don't even think he's thinking of that in the moment.
Yeah.
But we kind of briefly glossed over it in the recap. But when Dr. Maurer was like, you'll kill them all, we were wondering if that he meant the 25 innies that are stuck down there. Mary continues, in the birthing cabinet, Devin tells Mark, if you try to go out that door, you'll just turn around and come back in. How would she know that? Only Mark and Helly have seen that trick. I don't think this episode exonerates Devin from Lumen involvement at all. Kit Lazer, would you like to respond?
I don't appreciate the tone you gave her question. I didn't give it the respect Mary deserves.
Innocent until proven guilty.
So I will say this. I get a lot of questions like this on all shows, but Severance, so many. And a lot of the people that really think Devin is a Lumen op or has something else going on point to stuff like this very frequently. And anytime there's something like this, it can just as easily, in my opinion, way more easily be explained by the fact that she has spent days and hours, and at least, but days with someone who knows all the information you think she can't have. And we're just supposed to assume she was given it off screen, right?
Yeah, I think it's fair to assume that because they all have a plan that they're all three in on, Audi, Mark, Cobell,
Yes.
and Devin. So it would reason that Cobell told them this fact.
She's just been walked through, or even Mark would reasonably know this
that's
because he works at Lumen.
And that's the plan. Like, he'll just come back in because if Audi Mark realizes he's not in it, no, we're going to have this talk. And he's going to turn around and go right back in.
Because Mark's first day at work would have been him leaving the stairwell and having to go back in multiple times, like every Annie experiences. We saw that with Helena on Helly's first day. So they all know that this is a thing. And somebody just kind of walked Devin through this, which of course you'd walk everybody through the plan before you do something this kind of wild. So that's
Cobell's
my
like,
explanation for that.
Hey, girl, he's going to want to leave. Make sure he comes upstairs because I want to look dope as fuck in front of the fireplace upstairs later. I really want to be in place when that happens, when he comes upstairs and sees this.
Also, he's just going to have to jump off that balcony if he wants out because they're blocking the stairwell.
Yep.
And I want to explain a little further. It doesn't completely eradicate a lot of the theories that I said the finale eradicated. What I meant with Helena's not pregnant, which I think is just a dumb idea that is vaguely misogynistic. And the Devon is the Lumen Op thing and whatever else. The one that I love that's definitely not true is that Irving was reintegrated. That's what a lot of people were like really mean to me about. It's not impossible for those things to come up in season 3, but all of your little evidences, like, oh, she kicked off her shoes because her feet are swelling. She's not eating eggs raw because she knows she's like, guys, you have to admit that if it wasn't a setup for a season 2 reveal, that the likelihood that even if it happens, that those things were pointing toward that is just slim to absolutely zilch, then you have to admit that, right? Like, because it's going to be 2 years later at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, also the shoe slipping thing is the thing that always makes me laugh because like canonically in the show, she had sex like 2 days prior to that scene taking place.
Yeah.
That's not when those parts of pregnancy set in.
It's funny though.
It is funny. And Mary wraps it up with saying, I think it's funny y'all swoon over Miss Casey. I think she looks like Adam Driver, which
Swoon.
they're the same picture.
Yeah, what is that supposed to mean?
He's hot. Step on me, daddy. That's what I say whenever I see Adam Driver. I love him.
Oh, well, Mary, I think Deacon Lockman is objectively a gorgeous human being.
Yes.
And Adam Driver.
But I did defend you when Steve read your question all stanky. Thank you for
I
listening
read
to
it
the
all
pod.
stanky to trigger Kit.
Theories are fun. I never mean to, you guys, again, I said this last time, but just to run it into the ground, I really have to emphasize, I get a lot of like really antagonistic people with a lot of these theories. And that's who I'm talking to if I'm ever stanky. But the theories are the point of a show like this. It's part of the community. But also, I just want to encourage everybody, and this sounds so condescending, just to don't think about what would be shocking. Always think about what makes sense for the characters and for the themes if you have faith in the writers. If you're watching a show like Yellow Jackets or something, all bets are off. You can theorize whatever you want because they're just trying to shock you. But a show like this has a point, and some of these things don't make sense for that point. Like Helena or Helly, they're not going to do the same twist twice just to fuck with you. That doesn't make any sense. It had a point the first time, right? So, stuff like that.
Agreed.
Erica, do you want to read the next email from Redacted?
Oh, okay. Redacted writes in, hey guys, I'm listening to your review of the finale episode, and I recall from listening to the show's official podcast that when filming Milchick and the Keir Egan animatronic doing the little comedy routine, the actor who plays Keir Egan, Mark Geller, is that it?
It is.
Mark Geller. Well, they use him for the likeness currently, was actually on set reading the animatronic Keir's lines while they filmed Tremel Tillman's side. So I can't say whether the voice we hear is Keir, but I'm guessing that it is Keir himself speaking, in that it's the same reason we hear a voice from the monitor when speaking to the board. I think it's Keir's disembodied voice. Thanks, and praise Keir. Thoughts about that?
I'm so glad you brought this up because I have a funny anecdote. I posted my season review, as I always do, my episode review. Mark Geller messaged me.
Friend of the pod, Mark Geller.
Quick flex. Shout out, Mark. And he said,
Lovely.
no mention of my Borscht Belt comedy routine with Seth. You cut me to the quick. And I was like, oh, we talked about that off air for so long. It was so lovely, but I didn't have time on the actual, short form video. He's like, I'm just kidding. Fun scene though, wasn't it? Right. And so to your point, Keir himself reached out to me like, hey, motherfucker, I worked really hard on that. So I did know that. But also I did ask him, like, wait a second, isn't that supposed to be Drummond with a voice modulator that Milchick is speaking to? And I love Mark's response. I don't think so. I mean, it's me doing it.
He's Keir.
And I said, yeah, but you're not alive.
Dun, dun,
And he
dun.
said, I guess we'll see what happens in season 3. And then I put, all right, keep your secrets.
Dude, I love Mark Geller. Like
He's great.
he's been popping up everywhere to the point where there was someone on my Threads list that said, hey guys, I just bought a new puppy. Here's the cute puppy. I want to name it something after Severance, something cute. And people are like, name it Milkshake, name it Bark S.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's cute.
But then motherfucking Mark Geller gets into the replies, name it Keir.
I love it.
I fucking love him.
I love him.
Yeah, he's a joy, and he was playing coy with me. But I don't know who it could be if it's not Drummond, because the stank of that Seth, you know,
Seth.
it really felt like
you're verbose.
it played into his enmity with him and all the things that he had already said to Milchick in disparaging ways. And so I just kind of immediately assumed, but also he's not a very theatrical person, that Drummond. So
He's not. Could be Dr. Mallor.
He's not a theater kid.
I mean, he is into frolic, though. You know, I think that there's another side to him.
Tattoo, yeah.
He just
that was
huffs
his
some
youth.
ether.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when he was on that ether.
That frolic tattoo is more of a goal. Like I'll get there one day.
I'm stuck in this malice.
What if I fuck with Seth with a robot voice?
Is that frolicking?
Frolicking?
Yeah, thank you so much for that email. And praise Kier. The next email comes in from Jenna. It says, Steve, Kit, and Andy.
Hey.
I'm going to get a little fuzzy and warm for a sec and say that one of the reasons why I constantly have the pod on when I'm driving, cleaning around my apartment, or making pancakes on Saturday mornings, my weekend ritual, is Kyle's mom, is not only because of your hilarious commentary on my favorite shows, but also because of your admirable friendship. I'm a friendship coach, and my job is to help people make friends. And I always think about the dynamic between you three and how vulnerable, supporting, and brotherly you are with each other when I'm working with my male clients. It's what the negative reviews on iTunes call soy boys, I believe.
Soy boy beta cuck.
The kind of close friendship you guys have is truly rare and beautiful. And I hope more people listen to you guys and say, wow, I wish I had friends like that. Listening to you guys truly makes me feel like I'm in a room of best friends talking about the shows we love. Thank you so much, Jenna.
That was very sweet.
Our acting is really paying off. Anyhoozle, one of the reasons why I bring up the topic of friendship is because I think the subject of friendship in this season was overlooked, yet important and mysterious, especially when it comes to Milchick in the next season. If he did have friends, a good friend would tell him that he isn't the problem. And she's talking about Milchick needing the hierarchy of respect in season 1 and not having anyone in his corner in season 2. And then that, of course, infamous grow scene.
Grow.
So if Milchick did have friends, a good friend would tell him that he isn't the problem. Lumen is. Not only that, but having friends, healthy ones that is, truly help us actually grow as human beings. My theory here is that he will be captured, not violently murdered, by Dylan and the department.
Dylan has it in his eyes, though.
And the Department of Choreography and Merriment, where we will not only learn about his lonely existence and how he generally cares for the MDR team, but that he wants to be more a part of their cause. That is, be on their team and become their friend. Milchick will learn the true meaning of friendship, helping him actually grow. He's like the Grinch in this case, and realize that he can be accepted by others for who he is, human thesaurus and all. Those are my thoughts. They are mysterious yet important. Can't wait to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Your friend, Jenna. I love this. I don't know where else in the emails this kind of stuff comes up, but there's a lot of like, how is this even going to work? This dynamic of the show with where we leave things. But yeah, the last time we see Seth, he's cornered by the entirety of Choreography and Merriment, and also Dylan. And I love the idea that his full turn, which I have long suspected, into the protagonist camp will be some sort of captivity transition. Maybe we'll even get another backstory episode like episode 8, but this time with Milchick, which I think we desperately need.
Yeah, I would love that. And it speaks to a little bit beforehand. Like we've talked a lot about Milchick's progression this season as being like a tried and true Lumen guy, but they've been othering him so much this entire season. Like Drummond doesn't respect him, even though he has the same role as Harmony Cobell. Even though all the other characters at Lumen have this very large vocabulary, they won't let him do it, and that's sort of like a way to let them know, like, you're not one of us. You might work for us. You're not in the cool group. And I think him going on this journey with Dylan and Choreography and Merriment, which I think Choreography and Merriment is like Seth's department. That's like his thing, because we haven't seen it before. And I did see in an interview with Tremel Tillman where he said that the choice of having a marching band in this episode is supposed to be Milchick's decision, because it was that character's way of reclaiming his blackness in the show. And I kind of like that he's like expressing himself. That's him. Like, this is my floor. I'm doing the things I want to do. The people that I work for don't respect me for who I am, and they never will, because of inherent racism and all sorts of stuff like that. And when he gets quote unquote captured by this department that he helped create, and Dylan, and he'll, like you said, he'll go through this growing transformation. I think that's a really cool theory.
Yeah, I love it.
Interestingly enough, I think that this is an opportunity for one of Kit's theories to come true. He made a really great video with when he solved Severance. And what we have here is an opportunity because we know that there are other options on the control panel. And one of them is Beehive, and it may mean Bayhive. The Department of Choreography and Merriment, he's going to flip that Bayhive switch. They're going to dance him out of there, and that's how he is going to get out of this situation.
Okay, I like that theory a lot.
I didn't come up with it. That's Kit Lazer.
Lemonade.
That's a Kit Lazer original.
They're going to lemonade him right out.
Lemonade, lemon, lumen.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
It's right there.
I was most if I had a criticism for the finale, it would have been disappointment, and we didn't have some kind of turn for Milchick this season because it felt like they were really building up to it, and so for him to still be pretty Team Lumen here at the end of it. Now, I hadn't considered that the marching band was supposed to be like his own small form of fuck you, but it still felt like he was very much on Lumen's side at the end of this. So like that was a legit criticism, but the concept of him being stuck down there with the Merriment team and Dylan and having his, like, at some point, like the mask will come off, like that 1,000,000% has to happen. And I'm so excited for that.
He's also in a dangerous position. I mean, like, Doug Rayner's dead and nobody cares. Drummond is dead. Like, is he going to get promoted upward? I mean, maybe not. You know what I mean? Like truly though, they're gonna have to replace Drummond. Drummond, it seemed like, was he security? Was he also like some other position close to the board? Because he seemed like CFO. He was in on the information, and we called him father. So he's got a high up position, and he's gone now. Seth is really having a hard time managing, but I mean, will they just get rid of him if he doesn't comply, or will they try to promote him to tease him into not telling or not rebelling?
Well, I think he has to get into a position where he even can be promoted before that any of that happens. Like, I think he's very much trapped with them at this moment.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah. and there is that little moment where Helly gives her speech to Choreography and Merriment and looks right at him and is like, "Isn't that right, Seth?" Which is a nice little callback to the "Do It, Seth," but also I think it's very pointed. We're struggling, but so are you. And
I think in that moment, Seth, at least subconsciously, realizes he's a cog in the machine every bit as much as the Ennies are. And he's listening to her speech. They give us half a life and think we won't fight for it. And he's moved in the same way. But he's also, like, the anger that he feels and busting through the vending machine is not fuck here. It is just everyone fucking shits on me. I do my best.
I hate bathrooms.
Fucking hit me with trumpets and fucking tell me I talk funny and fuck all you all.
I don't use public ones. Get me out of here.
I think that's his anger. It's not you guys are fucking with Kier's mission. It's everybody's always shitting on me.
I had a whole dope fucking
every
choreographed
time I dance
performance with 5 outfit changes, and I'm stuck in the bathroom.
Yeah. That's what that is, I think. And I did expect more of a full rebellious turn from Milchick by the end of season 2. But I love what they did, and I still think it's coming.
It's coming, baby.
Andy, do you want to read our next email?
Yeah, our next email comes in from the Jay Rich.
It was important that you read it that way.
Jay says, in the finale post-credit interview, Ben Stiller mentioned that the marching band standing up to Milchick is the real beginning of the Macrodat uprising. Do you think season 3 could explore a severed floor resistance movement with other unknown departments rising up against their Lumen handlers?
I would love Snowpiercer, Severance, just an entire season. Now, people would hate this. I would love it. Just the entire, we don't even see Gemma in season 3. Nobody. We just get
it's just Ennies.
A bloody, violent struggle of
the violent uprising of the Macrodata department.
I would love it.
I think that's what we're headed towards, at least in some capacity, right?
Yeah, they got the 3D printers down there. They can make hatchets. It's going to be a fucking gnarly fight.
They've already made a bunch of tubas and
Felicia
shit
out there with like dual wielding. Just
that would be amazing. I would pay money to see that.
Step up, motherfuckers.
Oh my gosh. She's got that ball and chain. What's that chain ball got? You
there's
the
a
mace?
Flail?
Flail.
Oh, flail. Okay.
Well, the Morning Star is just the ball and the stick, I think.
Oh.
Oh,
Is it?
okay. Yeah, that'd be amazing. That's what I want her to have.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to have some sort of rebellion on the severed floor, and people are going to, and that's going to be, I think, a big dramatic sort of storyline in the next season. Is like, how do we go out there and save Audi Mark, and how do we switch Helly with Helena while they're doing this, revolt on the severed floor? We can't get them out of there because all the departments, the goat people are in on it.
Yeah, we've seen 3 departments now: O&D, Mammalians, Nurturable, and now choreography and merriment.
Mhm.
Is that? Did I miss any? I think
4 departments. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many doors and hallways down there. Who knows?
Yeah, they could pull out. They could
run
do this
into next.
ad infinitum, and we'd be like, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were around that other corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there is, I know in the first episode of this season, when Mark's running through the hallways, he runs through a purple room, like a conference room that's purple. And we do know that different departments are color based. And I don't know if we have a confirmation of like which department is the purple department.
But everything's been tarped, so who knows if they use that?
True. That's a good point. But I think that like kind of leads to the curiosity of how many departments are down here. And they got Seth with them. And if Seth was in charge of all of them, they could like drag Seth around and be like, we got him. Join our cause. Yeah.
They really needed more managers. A lot of this would have been avoided.
Seriously.
And do you think that Lumen overall knows what's going, like everybody in Lumen knows what's going on with this special project? Or do you think they keep most people in the dark because it needs to stay secure because what they're doing is absolutely not ethical. So they kind of can't spread the word. Does everybody know what's going on?
Yeah, because of the cult aspect.
Yeah.
I'm believing that most people know and are just fully on board. It's, everyone we've seen seems to know, Drummond, Natalie, maybe not Huang. I love, though, that after season 1, they were like, okay, we almost lost everything. We need a 14-year-old girl to help button this ship.
Hey, it's not just any 14-year-old girl. It's a Wintertide fellow.
That's true. Steve, do you want to read our next email from Rachel?
Yeah, our next email comes from Rachel. She writes, hey, y'all, I had a blast with this season of Severance, and while I'm sad it's done, I'm glad I can take at least somewhat of a break from theorizing and thinking about the show almost nonstop. A few thoughts among many. I'm pretty sure that it is Helly R in the finale and not Helena. Firstly, I saw Britt Lauer quoted, and she's talking about the hallway scene as being from Helly's perspective. But more importantly, I really don't think the writers would do the same switcheroo they did at the beginning of the season 2. It would be less interesting and engaging if they pulled the same hat trick twice. Secondly, I feel like the dancers at the waffle parties must be from choreography and merriment department, right? Thanks for the great coverage.
You would think so. On the second question, I don't know. Because it seems to make don't they also sex them up? Or am I just weird for thinking that?
I've gotten the impression that it is a cult ritualistic orgy that happens, and that is the waffle party.
They have to be from the orgy department.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that's pretty merry to me. So if we have a department,
Dude, if I worked there, I would be.
Sign me up for this.
Helly's like, they give us half a life. I'm like, guys, we got to get back to work.
This work is mysterious and important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
We got to fill them holes.
We are treated well.
Oh my God.
but yeah, 1,000,000%. Like that, they absolutely could be choreography and merriment, especially the merriment part. And that dance has some fucking choreography to it too. You know what I'm saying?
Does.
They're busting some
If it is
weird
choreography and merriment,
shit, you know?
if it is choreography and merriment, and Milchek is all about choreography and merriment, I know where those dancers got their moves. Seth taught them himself.
Mhm.
He was promoted.
He's gonna be like, hey, person who played the goat, you gotta pop that thing out, pop it out, get out on all fours like you're doing a downward dog, but then pop it out.
The throw and ass department only needed once a quarter, but more often than choreography and merriment. But yes, your first question, I agree. That is 1,000% Helly R.
Yeah.
It would be so uninteresting if it was Helena. So many people online believe that when the klaxons go off, the alarm, that must be some auto trigger for the Glasgow block, and that the difference between Helly selflessly asking Mark to save Gemma and save himself and leave, and then showing up in the hallway right as he's about to leave and, quote unquote, stopping him has to be two different people. It makes no sense.
Nah, it makes complete sense.
I think it makes utter sense. If you never wanted what's best for somebody, but secretly hoped they would choose you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for sure.
And that's the in her mind.
Yeah.
In her mind, that's the last chance she has to see this person that she loves. So of course she's going to try to at least see him. And they have that shot of her in Macrodata before they go to the hallway where she hears the sirens, and you can see on the performance like, oh, he made it. This might be the last time I get to see him. Mm-hmm. And then she shows up just to see him one last time.
And a lot of people think that the look that she gives Gemma through the window for a split second is a glare. And I find that a fascinating indictment of people that see it that way.
He chose me, bitch.
I don't see it as a glare at all.
Yeah, no, she doesn't even know this person.
If anything, there's pity in that look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And curiosity, and it's anyway. I do not think there's no doubt in my mind that is Heliar.
Yeah.
Because it's not interesting if it's Helena.
If they do the Helena thing, I will be so upset.
We'll riot.
Especially with this scene. I'll be like, that you're just like undercutting really good moments at this point.
It's the whole theme of the show.
Yeah.
I don't want to get upset and just make people feel like I think they're stupid. But it's the whole theme of the show is the fact that the Ennies, because it's a metaphor for the working class, that they have an identity that's worth being considered. And that's them forcing people to recognize that.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a great meta commentary in that scene too. I've seen a lot of people who are like, I was so mad that Mark didn't go out with Gemma. And then upon further reflection, realizing, oh, the filmmakers wanted me to feel that way because it's an indictment on me for expecting him to do the selfless thing for someone he doesn't know instead of trying to live his own life. Whereas Mark probably wouldn't do the same thing for his Innie. At the same time, it's like, yeah, like that's the point of the frustration is like they are people with their own agency and cognition, so they can make their own choices.
It's like that scene at the Chinese restaurant where Helena calls Gemma Hannah.
Oh yeah.
And at first the conversation's going well, and that enrages Mark, and he leaves. And they did that on purpose for him to call Helene, mm-hmm. and have Audi Mark do the exact same thing to any Mark, right? Because there's hierarchies to this, and I love that they showed how, Devin and Mark, who are sympathetic to the Ennie's cause, are still not fully seeing them as people. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a beautiful metaphor for corporate life and its workers, and mm-hmm. all of that is undone if it's just this silly, oh, Helena duped him into staying in there, right? Kind of thing. So anyway.
You tricked me.
Our next email comes in from Redacted. Love you guys and the pod so much.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so if Mark single-handedly built all 25 Gemma Ennies at MDR, what in the world were Irving, Dylan, and Helly doing? What about Pete? Do they all have their own people whose Ennies they are creating? What do we think?
This was also a question submitted by RJ from Alberta.
A lot of people have this question.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't want to brush it off with something silly because I had the same thought, like, oh, what are the others doing? But I will remind everybody that none of the other employees were important. Mm-hmm. When they left.
Really?
When they left, Lumen didn't care.
Yeah.
So it all seemed to be some sort of like support system to keep Mark working. So I don't think it necessarily implies that each one of them has an analog down there. What are they actually doing? I have no fucking idea, but it doesn't seem to matter at all to Lumen.
I was reading something that Dan Erickson, the writer of the show, said because they asked what's going on with the other MDR refiners, and he said, I don't think we've answered that question yet.
In the show or to themselves?
Well,
both.
Yes.
Yes.
He was saying that, we still don't know what they've been doing. Are they even refining anyone? I mean, was Irving taking swear words out of movies? Was Dylan cleaning the ocean? We don't know. I know that there's like sometimes between season 1 and
Forgot about
season
that.
2.
I think we're taking swear words out of movies.
Season 1 and season 2, you can't always like reliably match the two. You know, to no fault of their own, they knew they were where they were going, but there have been some changes along the way. But in episode 1, season 1, PD says he found a department, one they don't tell us about, one where you don't get to leave. Mark says, well, don't none of us get to leave? And he's like, no, I mean, you really don't get to leave, as in they're down there right now. So they can mean one
there's
person.
more than Gemma.
They can mean more than one person. They could also mean like Dr. Maurer and the nurse that are down there, not knowing that, you know, whether they leave or not.
They have their own exit.
It is possible because we see Gemma run past the rooms. Walk. When she's in episode 7,
Chikai Bardo.
she walks past Tumwater, which we know is Dylan's file, and she walks past Sienna, which we know is Helly's file. So she isn't seen going into either of those rooms, and that's not on the list that Mark completed. So I really think that we don't know yet.
Cool.
Yeah. And
They're definitely doing something similar, right? Because they all know, like, you feel things when you look at the
emotions of the numbers.
So, like, they're doing the same work.
Yeah.
And
right?
remember,
Maybe
their twins are down there doing something with them too, because it's like almost like the twins are codifying something.
Mm-hmm.
giving them information to parse out on a subconscious level.
Exactly. So they're doing something down there, because otherwise they wouldn't need a twin down there. So we just don't know.
Yeah, before that interview with Dan came out, I was theorizing that the others are making rooms and testing rooms for maybe Gemma, maybe other people who are being tested that aren't necessarily related to the Cold Harbor test that Gemma's involved with, but it's more ways to test these Severance chips. So like, oh, everyone hates going to the dentist. That's not necessarily a Gemma only fear. So I'm not saying that the others made the dentist room, but for an example, like here is a phobia or a fear or something that people don't want to deal with. So they're coding this room that can be tested by someone at some point, because that's just something that, and we know that they have the capacity to at least understand Gemma's file, because in this episode, Helly sees, at least it's a happy one. So it's not like Mark's the only one that can read that. He can just probably read it the best. And because last season, Dylan did say that sometimes they don't complete a file. And there are a couple files that we know weren't completed, like when in the Rolodex animation that pops up on the computer screen. Sometimes there's a couple places that we know don't have doors or were not completed. I think one is like Cello or something like that. I don't know. There's a couple. There was one that also was like, I think an Aztecan name, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think, to Dan's point, we don't know for sure what it is yet.
What does Dan know?
What does he
What does
know?
that guy know?
Nothing. Erica, do you want to read our next email?
The next email, I am assuming we got permission, hails from Joey.
Joey.
She says, hello, my babes.
My babes.
Joey here, ready to share my thoughts and questions about Severance Season 2 equally. To preface, I think some people are way overthinking a lot of theories and things that happen in this finale, myself included, so please acknowledge if I'm stretching here. What is Lumen's end goal? I'm sure you've answered this already, but curious on your thoughts as to what Lumen is actually doing all this for. I think they have done this experiment before with other couples. Drummond and Brienne's conversation was, how many more must I give? As many, she's saying Brienne. Lauren is the actual character's name, but we called her Brienne of Goats. How many more must I give? As many as the founder calls. This is suggestive that they have done this before. It's highly unlikely they completed this experiment successfully the first time, so I don't think this is their first try. Where are those people now? Dead in the ground with a sacrificial goat? What is the end goal? I think that's it. I cried, I laughed, I felt things when Milchick ripped that tie off and body rolled into perpetuity. Love you lots, XOXOXOXO. Heart.
Canonically horny Joey. We love her.
We love her.
It's a thyroid issue, I think.
So the end goal.
What is Lumen up to?
I don't know. I really don't. I
think you had a pretty good, I think you had a pretty good idea earlier on that I think we might have talked about off mic, about how Lumen, they want to create a way to sever people for like every sort of whim possible. Like, because it's this war against pain. he's trying to tame all the tempers for everyone else. How do you do that? You create a way to sever people's pain away into their own Dieter Egan severed analog, right? And so the Gemma test was a way to like figure out if you can fully separate someone's barrier and really sort of not have the innie's trauma seep into the outies subconscious at that level.
And like mass market it. And
yes,
I think there has to be something slightly more than that.
I agree.
Because for lots of reasons, I love that. And I love the idea that this is ultimately a show that not only celebrates the working class, but celebrates art in general and like becomes this attack on AI and any kind of like robotic approach to living life. I love that. But it doesn't quite make sense that Cold Harbor is the ultimate test for whether or not this chip works. The reason I say that is clearly the chip works for things even beyond that. Point being, any Mark has no feelings for Gemma, which is like, that's the strongest love we could possibly see. He's been seeking her. He thought she was dead for years. He went through all that shit to free her. And yet he chose Helly. The chip held. You know what I mean? Like that's honestly, if that's what they were trying to figure out with Cold Harbor, they could have just watched that hallway camera footage and been like, we did it! Holy shit!
it's beautiful.
Wait, that's my daughter.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so many, the whole Cobell bringing in Gemma's candle and all, like it survived all of those tests. Miss Casey and any Mark were none the wiser. So there has to be something more. And what their end game fully is, I don't understand. I honestly
You bring
think,
up Cobell, and just a quick aside, this doesn't like make or break any case, but I thought because now that we know that the band was a Milchek thing, I think the fact that Miss Casey is Cobell's version of that when she ran the floor because she sent people to wellness. And so we know Cobell is sort of obsessed with Mark and Gemma, and that was her way to see if the barrier was holding in that regard. It's almost like she knows a lot more about what's going on than even the company does, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Almost like she invented the thing.
this is the obvious test you do. What's this bullshit with cribs? You know, I just like the idea because a lot of people are like, "What's the even point of Miss Casey existing?" It's like, oh, that's Cobell's. I think that's a Cobell thing, not necessarily a Lumen thing. Sorry, that was a aside.
no, I agree.
I still think that they are doing a body sleeve thing over time, that they're figuring out how they can take a consciousness and compartmentalize it so much that they can pop it out and pop it into somebody else. And I think that we'll get there.
I worry that all of this is definitely not some altruistic thing. You know, they're saying they want to create the cure for mankind. Like so much so they put that on all the license plates in Cure.
Yeah.
The cure for mankind. I think the cure for mankind is to turn them into robots. This is me just wildly speculating here. But, you know, again, remembering
Not like real robots, but like
no, like
emotionally
automatons,
Yeah.
basically, because they're wanting to make sure that even the biggest emotional trigger won't break the barrier. So it makes it sound much more nefarious to me. Their ultimate goal is kind of, for me, they like control. They, Kier was bragging about the control he had over his tempers. And I think the company has taken Kier's message and really bastardized it. And it's a little scary because they want like you to be a total automaton in 25 different consciousnesses. I mean, what are those other settings for? Like literally the beehive setting, you know, like what could that possibly mean? Like protect the queen? Like what queen? It's
Cobell,
to me,
obviously.
it's more nefarious and terrifying, the level of control that they want. And you look at Helena Egan and she is so flat. Her affect is so flat and she talks quietly and she is like this and she does not emote. And her tempers are going to balance soon and blah, blah, blah. And even when she's talking to Harmony, she's like quietly making her lean in and everything. She is balanced, not to the satisfaction of James, but It's interesting.
We should take them raw.
So it's just interesting because they are muting everyone. They're suppressing
She's like,
people.
I did in the tent.
They're suppressing people. So what's the end goal? I think it's nefarious. Whatever they're up to, I think it's evil.
They want to rid the world
The
of pain.
cure for mankind is to cure them of their individuality.
It's definitely not good.
Yeah.
I know that. Our next email comes in from Sunny. Hi, guys. Love the coverage. Love the finale. I went from being not so sure about Severance season 1 and just watching because you guys are covering it to being absolutely obsessed, almost at Erica's level.
Ooh, that's high praise. That's a lot.
I read a theory in Reddit that makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe Lumen's plan after killing Gemma, therefore getting rid of the original Gemma and extracting her chip, Lumen will make copies and mass market it to the public as a way to turn off during unpleasant experiences as well as truly painful ones such as grief and loss. But instead of severing oneself, it is Gemma's severed consciousness that will be activated during those experiences. So you don't even have to feel guilty about subjecting your own severed self because it will be someone else. You don't have to worry about the original Gemma rebelling because she'd be dead. So potentially you could have thousands of Gemmas whose whole existence is going to the dentist. That would be truly dark. Also, James has said that he basically likes Helly more than Helena because he sees Kier in her. This can potentially be a way for Helly to exist in the real world. Can she convince James to let her be the any version of her permanently because she's the one that has the Kier fire in her? Then once she's up there, she can wreak havoc. It's been super fun discussing Severance with the Discord week to week, and I'm sad it's over. Hopefully it won't be too long until season 3.
It's never over for me.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about half of that for a long time, but I had never considered that you could implant Gemma into other people. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think the entire reason that James professes his respect and admiration of Helly, the Innie, is to make it plausible that that character exists beyond season 2, because otherwise they would just shut it off forever. But he's like, I like her.
I think she's fiery and passionate, and she has a real feeling about right and wrong.
It's interesting. Like, we kind of glossed over this, but during the Cold Harbor test, James yelling "fuck" isn't because the Mark's there. It's because the barrier obviously didn't hold, because instead of looking at this bloody deranged man saying "come with me" and going, "Who the fuck are you? I'm a blank slate," she
took his hand.
She took his hand and left, and that was a signal that the test failed, and that's why he's so upset. Not necessarily that Mark's there. And I think I never thought about this as well, that they're trying to sever Gemma specifically. I think that's an interesting take on it for sure.
Well, they did handpick Gemma, right? They watched her at the blood drive and the what's it called?
Definitely the infertility clinic.
The fertility clinic. I almost called it the fertilization facility. That sounds really...
That's
the
apocalyptic
husbandry
as fuck.
tank, the animal husbandry tank. Yeah.
The people horticulturalist facility. Yeah, they handpicked them as a couple, it seems. So I don't know what maybe they saw their love, or they saw something they could exploit as a way to separate them. I don't know.
And it's interesting because you kind of get the feeling that you kind of touched on this a little bit, that her tests failed, but Mark kind of proved the chip working in a different way. The two of them are down there together now. There's this, all of these two are important to us. Maybe we didn't fully understand why they're important to us. Maybe Cobell knew that Mark was really the key, not so much Gemma. That's why she's been so obsessed. And then there's the whole sort of Kier met Imogen at an ether factory while they worked together, and Mark met Helly, who has Kier inside of her, while they were working together in the modern day version of the ether factory. There's a lot of cool sort of metaphors sort of colliding together with this question.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see where it goes for sure.
And another thought about the why he sees Kier in her, I wonder if it's because she's strong. Helena kind of walks with her shoulders slumped, she's stomping everywhere.
But she chews up those hallways, though.
But she's creeping. It's almost like she's creeping because she's so burdened and over, like everything's so overbearing on her. But Helly is like stomping like Godzilla, like I will fuck you up. And I think there's something about that, like her strength and like determination that he might like and see. So I think they can stretch that and make that make sense with the plot line to further why he sees Kier in her.
I like the way you walk.
I bet she takes her eggs raw.
I don't see her though, like turning
She looks
to follow James or Kier. I don't see that working out.
I think it's just a good, because otherwise from a writing perspective, if she's like existing in 2 minutes into season 3, episode 1, you're like, turn her off for what now? Like everybody's like killing each other with trumpets and shit. Like
kill switch.
But now that he said that, it's like, oh, he wants to see what she does. Or like, it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Andy, our next email.
Our next email comes from Kat, who says, ugh, fuck. What a masterful season. Something I cannot stop thinking about is the goat sacrifice scene in episode 10. We have so little information about the mysterious and important work on the severed floor, and we've only met Lauren once before, yet we understand the immense cruelty of this scene. Lauren's life work is to protect and nurture these goats, parentheses, kids. She's good at it, takes it seriously, and Lumen demands that she chooses her most spirited kid to bring for sacrifice. It is a devastating scene. I've never seen characters develop so quickly and dynamically in a show before. I also love the hair, makeup, and costume choices here. Classic cult hairstyle, a gown that looks like a priestess robe, and makeup that looks like grief, washed out with red eyes. Fuck, I love this show. Thanks for your coverage. It helped me grieve the end.
Aw.
I think we're all grieving a little bit.
Yeah, in our own ways.
I was feeling it hard at the end of the finale, where I'm just like, fuck, it's over. Mm-hmm. It's over.
As it verve, as it wiles.
I saw a really funny thread where someone had a screen grab of Lauren in her outfit holding a meal saying like, you don't choose your Halloween costume. Sometimes your Halloween costume chooses you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Severance Halloween costumes this year for sure. And Lauren would be a great one.
Yeah, for sure.
I think partially the reason it works so well, obviously, is because Gwendolyn Christie is such a good actor, but also because it's Gwendolyn Christie.
Yes.
And there's so much Brienne of Tarth baggage that comes along, especially with the fight scene. And we were so blessed to have just rewatched the fight scene between her and the Hound for the Game of Thrones Patreon pod.
Yeah.
Like literally a couple of days before the finale.
Seriously.
So it was so fresh in our mind, and it had to have been intentional from Ben Stiller. Like, okay,
I got Gwendolyn. Remember what you did there?
Well, it's like I got Gwendolyn Christie. Oh, I know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I know to help fight Drummond. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Small aside, during that fight scene, did you realize that Drummond accidentally concussed Adam Scott in that fight scene?
Yeah, when he hits the wall there.
Yeah, the take where he got concussed is used in that.
When he hit him with the bone saw.
Episode, yeah.
They were talking about on the
He
podcast.
was supposed to get his arm up and cushion it against the wall in time, and he just donk.
And they said once they figured out that he was okay and he was speaking or whatever, Ben Stiller was like, got it. I got it.
That poor guy.
That's the one.
Well, Ben went to the hospital with him. Yeah. And I think that's so funny to imagine being a nurse. Yeah. And it's not a big deal, I guess, but like you look up and it's Ben Stiller and Adam Scott walk in with ice on his head. Hi.
Was there a calzone accident?
It's just really.
The calzones betrayed me.
Like, what a day at work for an ER nurse, you know?
Yeah.
I guess they have pretty eventful days every day.
Especially. Yeah.
But if Ben Stiller's there, I'm sure some code blues went unanswered, you know, like it's Carl's turn.
Well, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
So good.
But I know the guy who plays Drummond is the helicopter pilot in that.
Oh, he is.
And does he have a fight scene with Ben Stiller in that movie or something similar?
I don't remember
it's
that.
An action-ish scene, but it's not a fighty scene, I don't think. But
I just saw a screen grab of the two of them look like they were like.
It's a weird movie to describe, but the whole point is that he is it's actually thematically very similar to Severance. Like he's this down on his luck guy who gets shit on at work a lot, but works passionately. But he lives all of his life in his mind through fantasies. So like there's a Family Guy cutaway every couple seconds in that movie. So like, did this happen or did that happen is kind of tough. Like he also like surfs down the street on a surfboard made of concrete.
Dope.
And jumps off a volcano and flies plane. You know, it's like that's such a good movie though. Andy and I love
Walter
that movie.
Mitty's incredible. That's one of my comfort food movies. I watched that movie all the time.
I watched it like a few weeks ago.
Tonight?
Tonight.
I'm down.
You'll love it.
Oh, God.
It's
It's
one
so
of those
good.
movies where like
It's got Kristen Wiig
It's
singing
got
David Bowie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's one of those movies that the trailer for it played over and over and over on a loop when I worked at the movie theater, and the trailer is awesome. It had like a great, I think it was an Arcade Fire song maybe that played in it, and so I know the trailer really well and I always wanted to see it, but for whatever reason, life never gave me the opportunity to actually do it.
Yeah, you guys are going to love that movie. Text me after it's finished tonight. I want to make sure you watched it.
Okay, keep me honest,
especially with your recent liberation. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be like, this movie rocks.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah.
But so with Kat's question, or it's not even so much a question as it is just a statement of like the mysteriousness and importance of the goat people. And Joey kind of asked about it too. So like, what have they been doing with these goats? Like, is it just ritualistic? Is there some science to it?
I think it's just ritual.
Yeah, it seems
Cult
like
stuff.
a ritualistic, almost religious thing, like sort of like Egyptians. You would bury your cats with you, like it's just the goats, and goats lead you to the afterlife, that type of thing.
Yeah, and again, like keeping in mind that we in the first season they said Ben Stiller said that it was like just something that they thought would be funny.
Yeah.
To have a guy in a room with goats, and then the audience loved it so much that they're adding more in. So I do think that it's not a huge thing. I do think it's the ritualistic sacrifice. So yeah, how many test subjects have they had? If this is how many more? How many of you?
They breed a lot of goats down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of goats.
And that
This
makes
is
sense.
like the second
30
one they've
goats.
brought down, and she's just being sour
It could
grapes
be.
about
Well,
it. She's like,
they got 30 more though.
There was that scene in the first season where Wyatt, I think is his name, the one guy's like, they're not ready yet. You can't take them from us yet. So I think they've definitely taken them at some point, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little baby one. I mean, he had the bottles for the little baby ones. Yeah.
Little kids.
And what did he say? It was for it's for a wonderful woman or
Cherish
a
woman.
cherished
or something.
woman to take her to the to have her meet Key or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Erica, pull up the transcript.
I know, right? I do have it.
something like that.
It's fine. We can move on.
We get the premise anyway, but somebody online was like, I don't even think he was talking about Gemma, which is interesting. I think they're wrong, but it was a funny thing to say. They thought he was talking about like they were going to kill Helena or something. That was neat.
Weird.
For the revolving. Our next email, Steve.
Our next email comes from Redacted. Hey guys, who do you consider the protagonist of the show? Any Mark or Audi Mark? And assuming we can't save both, reintegration seems to favor Audi over any. Whose consciousness would you want to win Mark's body at series end? # Team Any. Love the pod.
I was actually thinking about this at the gym the other day where I was lifting really heavy weights and
so heavy.
Did over 1,000 reps.
yeah, I don't remember how many. I lost count, but it's no big deal. Gray sweatpants. It was like a whole thing. I would really like the series to end with the Ennies taking over, which I think would be kind of a dark ending from many perspectives, understandably so, but would like make me really happy. Because I do think over the course of the show, I not identified, but I have sympathized more with Annie Mark, and I think you're supposed to. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that Any Mark is the protagonist more than Audi for sure, especially in season 1, but also season 2. I think that you're supposed to side with them very based purely on thematically how the show works. As for how it ends, I would imagine it would be some sort of like, we find a happy medium. You get to live, you get 1 week, I get, every other weekend or whatever. You know what I mean? It's going to have to be like some sort of
Joint custody of one's body.
Custody of your body. Exactly. It'd be fucked up and dark if it was just the Ennies, or the Audis. But
yeah, it's kind of a...
But I picture like I'm sorry, Steve.
You're fine.
I picture like a Black Mirror or like the end of Inception kind of ending where you don't know for sure and we're all arguing about it for the rest of our lives, but it's some kind of little detail that makes you think, oh, that's fucking Annie Mark, just like because he says it a certain way or something like that. You know what I mean?
Corner?
Yeah.
Do you have a corner? He just says it like that.
Yeah.
You just spoke my dreams into existence because that is exactly what I was going to say. I don't want it to be an ending that we understand or know exactly. And I know that would dissatisfy a lot of people. But I think that's the only way you can end it, because this is all a social commentary, and we don't have the end of society yet to base it on. So I
ambiguous
think
endings
it'd be
are
better.
great. Yeah,
I love an ambiguous. And that way you get to make it whatever you think it is and be satisfied in your own way if you have the imagination like
ambiguous endings let TV or movies live on longer than I think most do. So I mean, how many years is it? And we're still like, oh, is he the thing at the end of the thing? Right. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like that shit hits hard. So I would love a little ambiguity to the ending of this for sure.
I agree. Andy, next email, or Steve?
It's Andy this time.
Let's see.
Or is it Erica?
I'm glad you're keeping track. I have no idea.
It's Erica.
I read Joey.
Let's do Erica.
Okay. This is from Shawnee D. Hello, new to the pod as of about 4 weeks ago. Ooh,
welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Went back and listened to every episode about Severance from the start. Stayed for Kit's drop your panties voice.
Ooh.
And your collective and thoughtful insights, of which I equally enjoyed.
Thank you.
I'm not buying that the goats to be sacrificed, speaking of, are just companions which accompany those doomed souls to Kier. I just found the line. It's, this beast will be entombed with a cherished woman whose spirit and must guide to Kier's door. Is it up to the task?
You found that while reading this email?
No, I found it from from the conversation.
I was going to say, I can't even read.
Which company those doomed souls? Okay. I'm fine with the goat image on Gemma's thank you cards and the Christmas room being resolved. However, Rickon and Devin having goat motifs in their home and his being able to scale a rock face with oomph and agility, I think there's more to be revealed. I certainly hope for more goats galore, because another dose of Gwendolyn Christie and the fellow who exceeded at stargazing would do my heart some good. Emil, the sweet little goat we saw in the finale, his name essentially means to excel, to strive, to rival. That would also apply to your Troika, by the way. We all, everybody.
We all, everybody.
Kit's voice makes me drop my panties too. Just saying.
Well, Shawnee.
I mean,
Thank you for writing it.
My theory on the goats. I don't know. Someone else talk.
Do you guys feel, I put this email in because it gives me an excuse to talk about the Rickon as a goat theory.
So funny. I love it so much. Looking at that man, and then to hear how they talk about how he's so agile at like
climbing
rock
face.
Yeah.
There's so many, and people who suggest this, I think they're doing it to suggest that Rickon is actually a secret Egan, but that theory is
the greatest of all time.
Or the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But that theory is disguised under this like pretty silly, like tongue in cheek. I think people are having fun with it. But it is funny how good the evidence is for Rickon being a goat.
So funny.
Meaning like you said, he can climb cliff faces with ease. He has a goat bleeding style way of talking, specifically when he's reading his book. Like, the thing is like, and, his book is literally called the You Are, like a
EWE.
That's a sheep.
I know, but his
I know, but it doesn't fit my narrative. Do your own research.
Yeah. The goats in their house, his phone ring chime is a cattle bell. The actor's name in the credits appears when Mark turns into a goat in the title sequence.
Hilarious.
There's a lot of weird ass shit that people point to. It's like, well, you're not wrong. It's just really funny.
I think I see where you're going.
Then he takes off his mask and he's Hilary Swank.
Different show.
Oh, sorry.
And not to say that Shawnee said any of this. It's just like Steve said, it was a good opportunity to bring that up. I understand first off, I totally support seeing more Gwendolyn Christie. I don't think we need more goats to really get Gwendolyn Christie anymore necessarily because of this uprising that we have and the fact that she's clearly their best warrior.
I hope they ride the goats into battle.
God, that'd be amazing.
I don't know how to explain all of the goat motifs, but I don't like the idea that Rickon is a secret Egan or that they're severed or that Devin has anything amiss going on just based on everything we've seen so far. Right. Now they could do it in a really satisfying way, in a way that I don't see coming yet because I have faith in them, but I just don't initially like it. But I also want to posit that there is a world, especially it's Ben fucking Stiller, guys. This is Zoolander we're talking about.
Magnum.
Where people put stuff in the show because they think it's funny.
Yes.
And they're fucking with you.
Yeah.
And they read your Reddit posts and they see your TikToks and they do stuff and they laugh at you. You know what I mean?
And it's funny.
For sure.
Like there is a world where there's just goats everywhere because they're like laughing about how much everybody latched onto the goats.
The eye chart.
And they're like,
Yeah.
just give them more goats, baby.
They
All
threw
the
goats
goats.
in at every opportunity they could in
Yes.
the season. Like
Yes.
you said, the eye chart, the goat,
Christmas cards that she
Christmas
said.
cards,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
There's goats as far as the eye. It's goats all the way down. It's not turtles.
Yeah.
But
Call
Shawnee,
back to a movie.
thank you so much for writing in. We all, everybody, indeed. There may be much more to Rick and Devin than I have allowed, and I'm willing to wait for that. Next email comes in from Peggy Ann. Hi, Kit, Andy, and Steve. I have a
Hello.
theory about the personalities for a severed person's innie. After James' conversation with Helly on the severed floor in season 2 finale, I believe that an innie's personality derives from the characteristics of a person that a person used to have. James used to see Kier and Helena, but then she grew up and changed as a person. Gretchen sees the person Outie Dylan used to be in his innie. Innies are still their outies, but with characteristics they used to have before something in life affected them, and they grew and adjusted to those circumstances. What do you guys think? Love you all. Peggy Ann. Peggy A.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely something to that. Just based purely on their physiology. Like you are the parts that make you. And I think that.
But you don't have societal baggage.
Exactly.
You don't have trauma and memories. Yeah, I love this idea. And
You're the you are.
Exactly. Rickon was right. Oh, that's another thing about Rickon being severed. Rickon, Rick, N. Have you seen that one?
Stop it.
Swear to God.
It.
Swear to God.
Mark calls him Rick, and he's like, "It's Rickon. Come on, it's Rickon."
Rick and
Yeah,
and
I think this is absolutely something they're trying to get at. And I mean, the showrunners have talked about a lot of the basis for Mark's decision with Helly, as romantic as it is because he's emotionally a teenager. He's only been alive a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think Ben was saying that, you got to remember that, it's kind of a young, naive love, but that's on purpose, because the Ennies haven't existed that long. They don't know much of the world. And I really like that way of looking at the Ennies.
Mark was going on the dates with Alexa, and he wasn't ready, which is interesting. Gemma was gone. He was still grieving. He wasn't ready. And yet his Ennie was ready to, start dating Helly because he didn't have that emotional burden of the loss and the grief. Because they were saying, it's really interesting because they're saying the grief bleeds through. There were some days, and I don't know that it necessarily did, because I do think that the severance procedure is stripping you from your relationships. And that's where your shame comes from. That's where your sadness and sorrow and all these like really negative emotions come from that bring you down and keep you from being the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
But then we also had PD saying like, you still feel it down there too. You just don't know what it is. And,
Yeah.
So yeah.
They're not it's interesting. Yeah.
Completely severed.
Fuck.
Right.
Fuck. Where are my candy tins?
Give me a big one.
Big one.
It's that old fashioned candy too, where it's all like stuck together.
cookies.
Give me the butter cookies. Nobody eats these shits.
Oh, I threw my shoulder out.
I eat cookie dough.
Somebody sent me a 10 of those for
Just
Christmas
like
this
here.
year, but did not put a name on it. So I have no clue who sent me the butter cookies. But immediately I was like, oh, there's definitely not cookies in here.
This is a
Just
sewing
'cause-
kit.
Exactly. And I opened it, I was like, oh, fuck, it's cookies. Like it was a reveal to me that it actually had the cookies in it.
That's amazing. My grandma
funny.
too kept her sewing kit in there.
It
Yeah.
tastes like chloroform.
Oh, they're awful.
Hello,
fellow stream fiends, as we march into the vibrant spirit of spring, where new beginnings bloom and the chill starts to wane, we want to pause for a moment of gratitude. Before we wrap up today's episode, we have a very special tradition that's as revitalizing as the first day of spring, acknowledging our super patrons. These incredible individuals support us at the $25 tier or more, nurturing the growth of our podcast like the March sun encourages the flowers to bloom. They are the roots of our community, ensuring that our creative endeavors continue to flourish. So let's give a special shout out to none other than Xander Barbarian, Aubrey Carell, Daniel Pack, Nice Guy Eddie, Taloon, Jordan Garvin, Albus Stinkpot, Haley Maddlestat, Susie Gallahan, Anthony Corona, Jim E, Lady Trashley Milady, Sean Myers, Just Liz Calabria, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, E Scramo, Lil Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, Blothpum, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Big Butthorn, Jer Latanovich, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Elkbander, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, Trisha Bueller, Sun Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jadinklage Morgoon, Kalisha Reeves, Paula Garcia, Brenda, Aaron Armstrong, Kevin Strother, Ashley Powers, The Thrift Creeper, Casey McCain, and Enza. Thank you all so much for supporting Streaming Things all this time. And with that, let's get back to the episode.
Andy, read the next email.
This one comes from Redacted. Hey guys, forgive me now for maybe not having great and complete thoughts, but I kind of just wrote all this down in a voice to text method to share my thoughts and questions after season 2, episode 10 finale of Severance. Cheers.
And they're drinking.
That's the best way to do it.
For what it's worth, we don't have complete thoughts either, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We are complete thoughts, though.
Redacted continues. I'm really worried for Innie and Audi Mark now because I think that he is the Cold Harbor experiment that worked. Even after reintegration, Mark doesn't care about Gemma. He cares about Helly, and he might even care about the mysterious and important work that they're doing. This is my thought because of his reaction in the cabin. He maybe not necessarily likes it, but he also just doesn't want to not exist. Totally. That's like what Helly was saying about we get a half a life and we'll fight for it. I feel like Mark's staying with Helly is kind of a good representation of how people today, mostly in America, stay in their big corporate jobs, even though we might not agree with everything they're doing. Funding terrible politicians, funding genocide, outsourcing labor, which may not involve child labor, keeping people loyal to their companies by offering great incentives. But really, it's because we have a terrible healthcare system that people rely on their jobs to reduce the cost of going to the damn doctor, and so many other reasons why big businesses are actually awful. Thank you for taking the time to read if you made it this far. LOL. Love you guys and happy streaming.
Happy streaming.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good read. I like the metaphor of, us going to jobs we hate only because we kind of have to in order to exist, and insurance paid for and all that stuff. I think that's a really good metaphor.
Agreed. Cool. Steve, next one.
The next one comes from Brian C. Brian. They write, "Hello all. What a fucking fantastic finale. I very much appreciate you guys and your coverage of Severance and a plethora of other shows. I was hooked by Severance and Arcane reeled me all the way in. Obviously, if I've seen the Arcane coverage, I'm a patron, and this is my very first patronage. And it's well worth it. So again, thank you. Thank you for being a patron."
Thank you, Brian.
Brian.
Severance
season 3 theory. This is more of a bouncing my head off knowledgeable people.
Ideas.
By bouncing my ideas off of knowledgeable people.
That's different.
I can't read. I can't read. If you take off this emotional hat and put on the analytical hat, I'm super nervous about Mark and Gemma. With Gemma, I'm starting to wonder, did she go there willingly? Was Lumen able to sink their claws into her during her grief/depression? And since Lumen has a large company, had her sign a huge contract that disclosed everything they were going to do in their experiments and also fake her death. So now she is in breach of contract, so they are going to go after her and might easily be able to get her back. With Mark, he just killed a high-level employee and helped release a high-level asset of the company, but didn't leave and go into hiding. With Gemma, he stayed inside. He is basically a prisoner now. I hope season 3 proves me wrong, but what are your thoughts on this? Everybody.
I don't think there's anything to be worried about there, Brian. I I feel like the tone of your email and the worry makes you imply that you think that Mark might be more in or something than we think. I don't think there's any risk of that. Now, you're worried about him. I can totally see that. He's definitely in danger. I'm in danger. But I feel like I was the only one saying this. I got a lot of flack online when I said this in episode 7, when after the Chikai Bardot came out. Chikai Bardot. But I do think there's a strong possibility that Gemma went there willingly and just wasn't fully aware of what she signed up for. Because you can see the look on her face when she's saying goodbye to Mark. She's making sure he says, I love you. And she's definitely not going out with the girls or wherever she says she's going. Because she looks so goddamn sad, and like there's such a forlorn farewell on her face, and she's
she
not
probably
panicking.
doesn't know that she's going to be trapped there for 2 years.
No.
Yeah.
And she's not like super panicking down on the testing floor. Now you could say, well, she's been there for 2 years.
She's had time to get over it.
But I don't think it's just that. I think she's over it. But she's in some form doing what she knew she would be doing. They just lied to her about the results. Something like that will be revealed in season 3, I think. I don't think she's just like, I was driving my fucking car and this big Three Stooges looking motherfucker with Frolic on his hand yanked me out. And, like that's not going to be what happened.
Yeah, I don't think that it makes sense that she signed up to be, killed off. Like, I don't think she was signed up to fake her death, because if
they
the
were like,
point
we'll tell
was
Mark when you get here, that you'll be out in a few weeks, and you'll have a baby or something,
Yeah, I think that they lured her in and she was going to maybe an informational session. Maybe she was doing this or that, or like she heard about this experimental new procedure. But I don't think she signed up, because it doesn't really make sense that she's that desperate to have a child, because she wants to have a child with Mark. And she was saying, I'm sorry that I can't give you a child, when she was crying, when she had the miscarriage and everything. She doesn't seem the type that she's just like, I'm just desperate to have a baby at all, and I don't care how I do it. I don't really get that. Like, it doesn't make sense to sign up to, to me, with her character and what we've seen of her, even though it hasn't been a lie, it doesn't make sense that she's like, I'm just going to fake my own death. I'm going to sign up for that. I don't think she did. I think she was hoodwinked into something that definitely got away from her.
What if Elvis is down there?
Oh my God, it's possible.
Hey, mama.
I think that
He's in Tumwater.
Thank you for the Christmas gifts.
Look out now, making babies. This real goat man down here, man.
Make it, baby.
Look out.
Banana,
Spot
peanut
on.
butter, bacon sandwich.
Down the hall, you can hear a faint
All of our dead problematic musicians are down there. They're building the Morrissey room now. But this is a little bit different of a thing. But like a lot of people were like, did Lumen get their claws into her? All that stuff. And I was talking to Erica about this. I think that maybe Gemma is down there not so much because Lumen specifically is like there's something special about Gemma, but because we did see that she got her. There was the blood drive, the Lumen funded blood drive. I think that might just be like because Lumen's everywhere. They're not necessarily screening that. But when she goes into the fertility clinic, Dr. Mauer's there, and we immediately see him like clock her, and we know that he's obsessed with her. So I was theorizing that maybe the whole reason that Lumen is like, we got to have Gemma is only because Dr. Mauer is obsessing over her because he's this weird little creep. And that would be the season 3 arc going forward, is like, because Dr. Mauer's still around and he could be like, why did you want this woman so much? It's like, oh, because she's special. Is she though? But like, it could be kind of like from Lumen's perspective. I'm
Sure.
Damn. You hate Adam Driver too?
I love Adam Driver. But yeah, I was just thinking that like Dr. Mauer is the real impetus for why she's trapped down there specifically, because he's a weird little creep.
He does have authority in the company as well.
She's trapped because she didn't read the terms and conditions.
God damn
That's why
it.
you always read them things.
Human centipede all over again.
Forget the past. Sever it if you have to.
Good. That's good. More.
Our next email, Erica, you have to read the first line with Randy Quaid's voice.
I couldn't if I tried. You heard my... Oh, you didn't. You heard my Christopher Walken, maybe. It was bad. This is from Amy. Lily on Discord. Am I on the right one?
Yeah, you are. I just realized why you said Randy Quaid.
Hello,
boys.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Thank you for doing that for me.
You're welcome.
Just wanted to say thank you for covering this show because I loved it so much. It really has become a part of pop culture at this point, and your coverage, as always, has been 10 out of 10. I wrote last season on how shitty Lumen security was, and it's nice to see some things never change.
Love it.
So here are our questions. What is up with the board? Who is it? Is it just James? I don't know why, but this annoys me, and I have to know. Secondly, what about Helena makes James not see Kier in her anymore? Is that even important to the overall story, or was this just a way to, like Kit said, hey, we've talked about that. So we've kind of hit that one.
Yeah, we got
Make
that
sure
one.
the character stays in the show, which I agree. Brilliant. She thinks you're brilliant. Anyways, love you guys as always. Keep up the amazing work. And remember, your work is mysterious and important. So basically, since we kind of already covered the other question, what is up with the board? Who is it? Is it just James?
We don't know. Our next email. There's a lot of possibilities. I've heard some people say there is no board, and Natalie has no one in her ear.
She faked it once and she's in too deep now. It's been years and she's in too deep and can't go back on it now.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true because of like the dynamics of race between Milchick and Natalie, and there being a board between them is really fascinating and interesting. And even though Natalie's character wasn't written originally as a person of color, I think that would be ruined without there being a board. But whether or not the board is one person with all these different consciousnesses of former Kiers is really neat. And I like the idea of a revolving means, like, think of a revolver, right? So we've talked a lot about what that means when James said that, you'll be there at my revolving. I like the idea that they swap and that all the different Kiers Egans. I keep saying Kiers. All the different Egans are kind of present. You remember that movie, Underworld?
Oh, the vampire movie?
Yes.
Hell yeah, I remember that.
Where they would only wake up a lead vampire one at a time every few decades.
Oh, yeah.
Who woke me early?
Bill Nighy. That was bullseye.
And Marcus.
I just remember Kate Beckinsale in that outfit. And that
Unforgettable. Unforgettable. Yeah.
Okay, you love Underworld, right?
Big fan. Big fan.
Great movies. So yeah, that's maybe what that is. And like the board is just the name for,
oh man,
the person of the collection of consciousnesses. I don't know.
Could Bill
I don't
Nighy
know.
be one of the Kiers that are
that would
revolving?
be
That would be
fucking
dope.
amazing.
Have you guys
crush it?
Have you guys seen the second Wizard of Oz movie, Return to Oz?
I've heard it's very scary.
Oh, it's terrifying. It's not for children. It's so scary. But there's the Wicked Queen in it. She has this case of heads, and she takes them out of the case and just attaches them to her body, and that's the head she's going to wear today. It's like a fashion thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it makes me think of, because we don't know about all these Egans, and it's the pineapple references that we've talked about before. You grow a new pineapple by cutting off the top, and then you grow a whole new pineapple out of it. So I'm just like, that's the imagery that comes to mind with me with all these Egans, and what are we doing with their brain chips and all this other stuff.
Or they're just swingers, and that's why all the pineapples are
I
there.
think that's kind of like really wild, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Put your keys in the bowl.
Would you like to go to the swinger party? It's me, Mark Geller.
The disembodied voice of Kier, right? Like all those questions, we don't know.
Put your keys in the fish bowl.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're doing, and we don't know what the revolving is. But that's what the revolving, like putting on a different head.
Please let me choose Seth's key.
Oh, please.
Damn it. Fuck.
Did you say Devin?
Seth's.
No. I
What'd you
said,
say?
damn it.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Oh.
I thought he was real upset he got Devin. Like, what the fuck?
Well, anybody but Seth is upsetting.
It's Pikachu.
Breaking again.
I got Wyatt. I always think of Carousel from Logan's Run. That's the thing I always think about, which is
With regard to the board?
well, the revolving.
Yeah, well,
Just
okay.
the way that they talk about the revolving, I always think of just Carousel, which is basically like, oh, you're 30 now, time to die. But yeah,
Well, I don't think we answered you, Lily, but
Not at all.
we don't know.
We don't know.
we had
TBD.
fun. We had fun. The next question is from Redacted. Why Gemma? Was there something identified about her during her fertility treatments that led to her being chosen to be the test subject? Or did Dr. Maurer, who we saw at the fertility clinic, become enamored with her and choose somehow, to somehow get her to Lumen to become the test subject? Or did she willingly go to Lumen, not anticipating what she was getting into? I'm just trying to work out how Gemma and Mark become the center of this Lumen activity. P.S. Love you guys and would listen to you talk about anything. Thrilled that you cover so many of my favorite shows and movies. Thank you for being you. I hope someone pointed out that Kit has a panty dropping voice. I've always They did. I added that part that wasn't in there. I don't know if it was Steve or Erica's idea that Gemma was specifically chosen because of Dr. Maurer being a creep. And
It's me, Daddy.
Steve also pointed out that
I'll take the credit.
I think it was Andy who said it, actually.
It's the guy who really loves seeing dicks.
Steve,
Oh, Andy.
yeah. Steve also pointed out that, Miss Casey being in existence, the whole wellness session thing that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for what they're doing with Gemma might just exist because it's Cobell's idea. And that's good writing because things are changed by people, like character choices motivate things. And so I would love to find out that they could have picked any number of people and it was just Gemma was chosen because of Dr. Maurer. And it seems like he kind of heads that department, the medical side there. So that might be all it is. I really like that idea. And that's what I'm going to go with for now. Yeah.
Agreed.
Andy, the next email.
Let's see. Next email from Divided Sky from Discord. Thank you all so much for everything you do. I think this was my first full season of a new show since being active in Discord, and it was such an awesome experience. Thank you so much to every member of the pod and the moderators and fiends on Discord for legit making me feel like family recently. This season of Severance was a masterpiece, and I never would have even given Severance the time of day had it not been for Streaming Things coverage. So thank you.
Aw.
You're welcome.
Guys, you did it.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say that the podcast and the chatter on Discord have made this seriously the most enjoyable season of weekly release television for me ever. I really needed this, especially during the winter and busy season at work. It really gave me something to look forward to each week. Kept me going, kept me laughing. Oh my gosh, and Erica's egg party was coveted as fuck.
We ate some
and
more
the
today.
tiny waffles. And the paper dancers. I love how much fun you all have putting this together and the joy I can tell you all have surprising each other and surprising us listeners. Who all is in that creepy new painting and what do we think it represents? Please, somebody with Photoshop skills needs to recreate this painting for the podcast. You all are the GOAT.
Aw.
No.
We got some dancers.
It would be amazing if we had a what was that painting called? The
Exalted Victory of Cold Harbor.
Yeah, if we had the exultant victory of streaming things, that would be. If anybody out there,
wants
Who are
to
the
make
artists?
that?
yeah, has
You are the
some-
artists.
Yeah.
some artistic skill.
Who all would be
appreciate
on that painting?
All of our guests, right? We'd have
All
to
of
have
our guests.
Keep Jimmy's face
But Madison,
big.
like Helly,
Yeah, Jimmy's turned around.
Madison, like Helly, would be on there multiple times.
Yeah.
Like one with the Misty wig.
Oh, yeah, the
One
different
for
wigs.
Dirty Vinny, Pigeon Butts.
If anybody makes that, I will plug you on the Discord, but as redacted.
Yes. If it's really painstaking
Yeah,
and
'cause
takes a
that's what
long
I
time.
do.
Yeah.
Steve and Erica have parsed through that Exalted Victory of Cold Harbor. And like he said earlier, I mean, it's got almost everybody on it.
Yeah.
Somebody said that was not Woe the ghost. That was Woe the dancer from the waffle party. And I think you can tell by the hue that
It's-
is totally false.
Yeah, they're both on there. There's the four dancers and Woe the ghost.
Gotcha.
They're all on there. You got all the Egans up top. You've got the core four. You've got Rick and Devin, Miss Casey,
Even Rebecca and Patton.
Rebecca Patton, Balf is in there.
Hallie and
Grainer,
Helena.
Is Petey on there?
Petey's on there.
Petey's
Miss
on
Huang's on there. The Goat Man and Lauren are on there. Wyatt's on there.
Alexa?
No, she's not.
Aha! So
Didn't make
she
The Antler Queen from Yellow Jackets.
I'm just glad they got Grainer in there. Drummond, surprisingly, I don't think is on there, is he?
Well, he did, so.
Well, I mean, not at the time they commissioned that painting. Maybe he painted and he's like, well, I don't want to put myself on there.
It seems to be only people Mark
Prefer
knows.
to be behind the brush.
Grainer's on there, but yeah, Drummond is. Wait.
Nope.
No, he's not.
Who's
That's
that?
not Drummond.
Is that Wyatt?
Ooh.
The goat guy?
The guy, if he's near the goat people, it's Wyatt.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's nice. Nice touch. I think it's only people Mark knows. And then the Woe Ghost, who no one knows
How'd you get in there?
except Irwin.
They heard I guess Milchek
dancer.
did have the picture in the picture book, like, look at her.
That's
in the
true.
episode.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And the same way he knows the Egans is just by the mannequins and stuff. So it's interestingly seems to be from his perspective.
Fun thing, we didn't talk about this during the animatronic Mark Geller Kier thing, but I like that callback. Eric and I were talking about this last night in the first episode with, I think the character's name is Gwendolyn. It's the maybe from Arrested Development. It's her character in the first episode.
yeah.
She says their perpetuity wing features animatronic Kiers. And
Yeah.
it's like, when did they bust that Kier out from that office?
Yeah.
They
That's
shipped
why-
it over.
I thought that the twins in Woes Hollow were animatronics because
Yeah.
I thought they were like, oh, she mentioned the animatronics. We should blah, blah, blah. But no.
Oh yeah.
So that's everybody that's on that painting. Steve, I think it's on you to read our last email.
This is our last email. It comes in from Ricker. Now, Ricker wrote a really long post and it was all great, but I condensed it as much as I could to make his point across. He says, hello, which, fun fact, if you know Ricker, he always opens his emails with hello from Rings of Power, but he spelled it this time with a Y, so it says Heliar. That was
Nice.
a very good touch.
Very clever.
Ricker says, thank you for covering the show. It frustrates me just a bit, but I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. And from a technical standpoint, it is a masterclass. They have everything so meticulously planned out to the smallest detail, even the computer switches. Anyway, Rickon is not only the best character of the show, Rickon is Azor Ahai. Now, if you don't know what he means by that, it's a Game of Thrones thing. Azor Ahai is a legendary hero prophesied to save the world from darkness in Game of Thrones. He is a figure of hope and salvation, often associated with light and fire. Rickon is a self-help author whose book becomes a source of inspiration and rebellion for the severed employees. He represents hope and enlightenment in a dark, oppressive system. Connection! Both characters serve as symbolic figures of hope and resistance against oppressive forces. Azor Ahai against the long night, Rickon against Lumen's control. Both characters, whether through prophecy or philosophy, inspire others to take action and challenge the status quo. Both represent a metaphorical light that guides others through times of darkness and uncertainty. Both characters subvert expectations, proving that heroes can come in unexpected forms. Both figures, in their own ways, bring people together and fight against a greater oppressive force. While Azor Ahai is a warrior hero, Rickon is a thinker hero, showing that salvation can come in both physical and intellectual forms. In conclusion, Rickon is Azor Ahai. Where Azor Ahai fights literal darkness with fire and steel, Rickon fights metaphorical darkness with ideas and inspiration. Both are figures of hope, catalysts for change, and symbols of resistance against an overwhelming oppression. For the glory of House Hale, Ricker, smelly stinky butthole.
Why? What?
I just added that at the end to see if you would keep going with the teleprompter.
He's like Ron Burgundy.
We will read it on the prompter.
Did you know Andy did that?
No, I didn't.
I watched him do it. I'm just looking over at him, like trying not to react.
That was fucking great. Ricker did not write smelly stinky butthole, but I am Ron Burgundy
We
and
have
I
a
will
shared-
read the teleprompter.
We're using a shared notes app, if you're wondering. And apparently Steve is Ron Burgundy.
I'm glad you.
Why did you say that, Steve? With your poop mouth?
Great show, everyone.
Well, Ricker, that's all wonderful, except for literally everything that happened with Rickon in season 2. But yeah, that's
Well,
true, man.
we don't know, given enough time, Azor Ahai could have gone corporate.
It's true.
Depends on the money.
Right.
Guys, the Night King's benefit package is incredible.
Listen, if we give the people the Night King's words, maybe they will realize we just need blankies for the long night.
Under the blankets with the lights off.
What? Yeah, special shout out to everyone that wrote in and submitted emails to us. Thank you all for doing that. A couple people I wanted to give shout outs to because they also sent in emails that a lot of people spoke to. So thank you to Daniel, Benjamin, Dominique, Justin, and Cleo for writing in. That we just didn't get to your email, but they were great and we saw them.
Dana? Maybe you did.
Dana as
You
well.
might
I think
have Dana
she was.
Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, we featured Dana's thoughts at one point.
Dana was supposed to be a shout out to Dana for the first question.
Yeah.
Also shout out to
You might have said
Spencer who sent in a meme. I don't know if we wanted to say it. Kit, did you want to do the meme right before? It's the very first thing on the Notes app.
Yeah, I love this meme. It's white people don't say any hoozle anymore. They say, "Are you caught up on Severance?" Thank you, Spencer. Also, balls and titties and balls, which Andy, I think, wrote again
You did.
in the Notes app.
I did that before we ever started.
But it's right under the meme.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Just wanted to, now that people know what's up.
This is how we roll.
So anyone who wanted to share their thoughts with more knowledgeable people, sorry.
There's someone in the group always.
Erica and the rest of us are also here. But thank you guys so much for writing in those emails. It's so sad to say farewell to Severance for the nonce. But it won't be 3 years likely this time. It'll probably be a year and a half or so. They're cooking now. We're going to let them cook and be back. I hope you stick around for the shows that we cover now that Severance is over. We're currently finishing up season 3 of Yellow Jackets. And moving into other big shows right after that. But on the Patreon, we're also doing Midnight Mass and a full Game of Thrones rewatch. We're about to start season 5. So all of those episodes are on there. We also do a couple of movie reviews requested by patrons each month over there at patreon.com/streamingthings. If you want to support the show and you can, that would be wonderful. Also leave a rating and review if you haven't done that. That's super helpful to help people find this show. But if nothing else, I'm glad you were ever here at all. It means the world to us. Thank you, Erica, for your sweet dance moves.
That was fire.
I'm glad that goat mask got some use outside of the bedroom. You're being a bad boy, Steve.
Was it good for you? Nah.
That muscle shirt's going to be staying on the whole time.
Muscle shirt stays on.
But that's all the time we have for right now. My name is Kit.
I'm Erica.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Streaming Things, Streaming Severance.
Happy streaming.
Kid, chosen one, kid.
Here's special boy.
Delicious one, kid.
Andy's hot, Erica's hot,
Kid is hot. Steve is hot. Goat is hot. Jimmy.
Starts now.
Man, who the fuck is Jimmy?
Who the fuck is Jimmy?